Now recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses, especially Red Rooster Coffee and I2M. I really appreciate hearing what you've done to provide childcare, and I know how that helps with recruitment and retention. I've heard it at home from businesses as well. I want to follow up a little bit on the tax credit conversation that the chairman was having and that we've heard in the testimony, and ask you, Ms. Matsui. You talked about this, I don't call it the big beautiful bill, I call it the big ugly bill, because it's the Medicaid cuts, the SNAP cuts, and a lot of harm. But that, as we heard today, and we know, made changes to 45F. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about how was 45F working before? Will the changes that were made in this bill solve the problems with it, but also, even assuming that 45F is somehow fixed and enhanced, is that a way to solve the nationwide childcare crisis? Are there better ways we could be doing that?
Congresswoman, thank you for the question. What the research demonstrated over 25 years of 45F as it operated previously is that, as I mentioned, overwhelmingly large corporations used the credit, and that is because they are better situated to meet the upfront costs of either opening a child care center for their employees or contributing. They may very well have been offering those benefits already, and in that sense, the credit operated as a reward rather than as an incentive. Right. The changes that were made to Section 45F in H.R. 1 didn't really change some of the fundamental structures of the credit. First, as some have noted, opening a child care center can exceed $1 million. That hasn't been the case for the witnesses on the panel, but it's a significant upfront cost. Sure. And as a result, having a tax break after the fact may not help businesses who want to take that step, that extraordinary step for their employees.
Right. And even if they did, would this solve the problem nationwide?
Certainly it should, it will help their employees, but it shouldn't matter for a family who they work for or where they live. They still are going to need access to childcare, and the employer-provided benefit hasn't shown that it can materially increase supply in communities, raise wages for the childcare workforce, which is a huge critical component Sure. of reduced supply, and make the change that we need for the system we need.
And I want to follow up on that, the issue of the low pay that faces many childcare workers, and that's what is part of this imperfect, there's no market solution because we can't raise tuition, people already pay too much, but we know childcare providers are often making poverty wages. So that is a really important part. We have to have sustainable wages for childcare workers. Interestingly, recently we had a hearing in this committee, and I'm going to make this connect here. We had a hearing about the role of private equity in youth sports. It was a really interesting hearing. I think there's bipartisan interest in how private equity is taking over youth sports. So I want to ask you, Ms. Burke Afonso, Bain Capital owns Bright Horizons, is that correct?
No, they don't. They helped founded the company back in 1986, but they are no longer. We are a private equity company today.
Okay, but you are a for-profit company.
We are a for-profit company.
Do you know what the average salary is of a child care worker at Bright Horizons?
The average salary of our child care workers is about $24, which has increased about 50% since 2020.
In 2024, the median annual total compensation of all employees, other than the CEO at Bright Horizons, was $33,164. That's public information. So that means some people are making more and some people are making less than $33,164, which is not very much. Do you dispute that figure?
What I would say is I have spent my entire career fighting for actual wages and benefits for workers and really trying to insist that that is the key to actually running quality childcare, to reducing the turnover. For us, our child care workers are our workers.
I appreciate that. And your total compensation package in 2024 was how much?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
It was 1.9 million, and your CEO's was more than 5 million. And I point that out because, you know, as I said before, this is an untenable system that cannot be remedied through a market solution, and especially if the solution is focused on what for-profit companies do is focus on profit. The mission here should be to focus on how do we have affordable childcare for students and young children across the country. And the simple fact is that there aren't enough childcare workers. Most of them do make very lower poverty wages, but childcare is already expensive and families can't afford to pay more. We need real policies that invest in the workforce and cap costs for families. Democrats have multiple bills to do that, including the Childcare for Working Families Act. We need a comprehensive solution Mr. Chairman, you went over a bit, so that we need a comprehensive solution that solves the problem for the entire country, and I yield back.